Hello and welcome into the latest edition of the Fore-All podcast. I'm Jesse Morrison alongside Max Bechtoldt. And Max, we aren't together today. We're doing this over Zoom because of a very special week today, or this week. It is U.S. Women's Open week, and you are on site at Erin Hills ahead of this tournament. Just take me through what the past couple of days have been like for you.
Today especially was pretty wild. If you follow LPGA socials, you see that it wasn't exactly the most ideal weather conditions today. And by not the most ideal weather conditions, over an inch and a half of rain today. It was about 50 to 55 degrees, blowing wind just the entire day. It was pretty wild. My shoes are just a muddy mess. They're probably getting thrown away after this week. It's been it was quite the day out there today. But big fan of everything that they're doing here. It feels like a major championship. Crowds have been decent, I think, or for practice round today. I thought, considering the weather conditions, I thought that actually quite a few people made it out there today. So I'm hoping for some big crowds over the weekend at Erin Hills. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to see. There's some great concessions. There's a bunch of like food trucks and stuff. Like there's huge grandstands out there. So I think we could be in for a really fun week at Erin Hills.
Sounds awesome. We will get back to the U.S. Women's Open, but first we do need to touch on a couple tournaments that went down this past week. As we mentioned in last week's podcast, the Riviera Maya Open, or the official name is the Mexico Riviera Maya Open at Mayakoba. Uh, we'll touch on that, even though it didn't have the best field, but a notable player got the win in Chisato Iwai.
Yeah, I believe, and this is just kind of tipping our hand to our next topic too. I believe after the first day, I picked both Chisato Iwai and Cristie Kerr to win their respective tournaments, which they both did. Yeah, this was kind of a crazy final round. I mean, we're not going to see another final round like this, I would imagine, this year, where EY came in one stroke down and immediately after the first hole had a solo one stroke lead, and she never looked back. Extended that lead really thoroughly on the front nine in a super impressive way, maintained it on the back nine, cruised to victory. We every single week we talk about these young Japanese players, and right now we've got another rookie who's entered this rookie of the year race as of now in Chisato, who I'm not even sure is going to be the best LPGA player born in her family on that day, because her twin sister Akie is also terrific. But this is just another chapter in this season where I think I said coming into the year, I think it's really going to be defined a lot by rookies. I wrote an article on New Year's Day saying that I think three rookies are going to win this season, and we've already reached that mark. And I think it's going to be defined by the Japanese stars on the tour, and we're just seeing them really blossom here. I'm looking at this potential international crown team, wondering what the heck is going to happen with Japan. It's so unpredictable. I think some of the biggest names from that country's golf history won't be included because of these young stars. And so this is a great thing to happen. And when we talk about tournaments with limited fields, I think this is the ideal situation, is you get a breakout player just giving an awesome performance that can kind of really give that tournament an identity. Like, this is the tournament where Chisato Iwai won her first event. Like, I think that's like a ideal situation for this event.
And I will say, with this field, I mean, do you think that with the field being kind of weaker here, it might hurt her chances a little bit of being rookie of the year?
Probably. I don't know what the points work like with that if they take field into it. I don't really think they do as much. To me, this doesn't. It being a weaker field doesn't take away from her victory because she won by so much. If it was like a playoff victory or a one stroke victory, but because she just dominated, especially on Sunday, I think this was still a super impressive victory, even if she wasn't playing against the best players on the tour.
All right, over to the Legends Tour real quick before we get back into the U.S. Women's Open. Cristie Kerr, we just saw her play quite well on the Epson Tour out here in Arizona, and she goes to the Legends Tour and wins the Legends Championship. So, I mean, as you said, she's kind of not quite she's a Legends player, but she's still kind of an LPGA player at the same time. So, not to take away anything from her win, but she was one of the younger players in the field.
Yeah, she's a younger player. She's a little bit more recent competition seasoned, if that makes sense, where it's like,
Yeah.
she's played a couple times this year on the LPGA tour. Like we said, she played on the Epson tour. She's been kind of competing at a consistent level, which not every player who plays in the Legends events can say that. We've seen over the last couple of years, kind of Angela Stanford and Cristie Kerr play really well in these events. That makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like when you see 50-year-old Patty Harrington go on to the to the Champions Tour and dominate, or Steve Stricker dominate. It's kind of just they're still in that prime form a little bit compared to some of the other players. But yeah, super impressive victory for Cristie Kerr. It seems like the course was playing really difficult. There were some really kind of crazy scores. There were some high scores. And for her to weather that, I think was very impressive. It's her first win, on a tour like this in a long, long time. And she's one of the best American players of the 21st century. I'd probably put her top two or three. And so it's always nice to see a great player like that get a nice win.
Yeah, I was about to say you took the words right out of my mouth. You know, a legend on the LPGA tour. Her first, it looks like her from what I'm seeing here on her list of wins. It's her first win on a big tour since 2017. So it's impressive to win in golf. It's really hard, and I am very it's cool to see her you know get back in the winner's circle again.
Yeah, absolutely. And we say it's tough. Like, I'm not saying that was for sure her last LPGA win back in 2017, but like you never know if you're going to get those moments back. I'm sure nobody thought at the time this is probably Cristie Kerr's last LPGA Tour win, and so it's had to have been a little bit tough over the last however many years to not get those wins and not be on Solheim Cup teams and not qualify for all the majors. And so I think to get this win is probably a really, really satisfying moment for her.
All right, U.S. Women's Open. As I mentioned, you are out there at Erin Hills in Wisconsin. The course has been a bit of a mess today. Do you think they're going to be able to get this, dried and ready tomorrow, or do you think we're going to have some serious weather issues to deal with tomorrow in the first round?
For how much it did rain today, because it did rain quite a bit, and we're supposed to get some rain on Thursday and Friday as well. It seems like the course was holding up very well to it. Didn't see any big puddles out there. So I think the grounds crew's doing a great job. I think it's seeming like it's draining very well. Erin Hills is a big course with a lot of big hills that water can kind of
Erin
run down.
Hills.
Yep, that water can kind of run down. I think and it drains well. Obviously, we're so used to having so much snow here that I think the course can take on a good amount of water. And like I said, it looked good today. The greens still looked like they were rolling solidly. It'll be a little bit softer, which I think longer hitters already have an advantage on this course. I think the softer conditions might give them even more of an advantage now. But I would say expect very, very different from the 2017 US Open, which is one of the easier US Opens that the men have played. And I kind of, my impression was that the women would kind of dominate that same way. We might see scores 13, 14 under, which you don't typically see in the US Open. But seeing the weather forecast, I think we're going to see some tougher scores out here because the biggest defense at Erin Hills is the weather. And if the wind is up, there's no trees on the golf course at all. And so when the wind is up and it's blowing, I mean, it felt like a British Open out there today. And I think over the next couple days, we might see it have those kind of conditions. So if you're a fan of British Open golf, this might be a fun watch for you. But I think that there could be some tough scores because the rough out there is incredibly thick, and this rain is just going to make it thicker.
I was fist pumping for those listening. I was fist pumping because I love British Open golf. So I'm excited for this.
I do too.
Also,
It felt like I was in Ireland today, honestly. Like it
that's
really felt
cool.
like it today.
That's cool. And there is fescue on this course,
Hmm.
so that could play in. Bad weather fescue. I agree with you. I think the scores are going to be pretty high here. I do not think that we're going to have some seriously low scores.
I think 5 under could possibly win it.
5 under sounds good. I 3 to 5, I think, is what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna
Yeah.
say 3 to 5, just with what you're describing, and then you add in the fescue. I just think that's what we'll see. But
I think we'll probably see some lower scores Saturday and Sunday. Tomorrow and Friday, I would not expect low scores. With the
the
wind
weather
they're supposed to be, I would not expect low scores.
the weather's getting better as the weekend goes on. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right, let's get into the field here. I mean, it's a major championship, so it's an incredible field. We have 8 past champions, including last year's champion Yuka Saso, who is a two-time champion of this event. All 12 2025 tour winners. 24 of the top 25 players in the world are playing in this, and the only one that is not playing in this is the 25th ranked player in the world. So all the top 24 players in the world are playing in this. You've got some of the super fun rookies out there. Rio Takeda and the Iwais are both playing in this. And then you have some exciting amateurs out there. So I guess we'll just get into it right here. I mean, what do we think about the likelihood that maybe one of the top two players wins, the top two players in the world wins? I mean, Nelly Korda looking for her first win of the year. Gino Titakun has been awesome this year. What do you think about them potentially getting the win this week?
I think they both stand a very good chance. If people out there have read the predictions article for the week, you see that neither of them are my pick to win, but I have both of them in my top three firmly because with Gino, you just can't deny her. I think she might struggle a little bit because she doesn't necessarily have the length of some of the other players. But then when you watch her out there, she doesn't do anything wrong. So even if she has a little bit more length coming into these par fours, I don't know if that will necessarily be an issue because she's so talented. And if she wins, she could dethrone Nelly as the number one player in the world. I believe the math. I don't know exactly what the math works like with that, but she will have a chance, and she'd be the first player in 99 weeks to hold that spot other than Corda. So I think she has a good chance because I think she always has a good chance. Nelly, I think this course really suits. And I've said that for a while. I think when you like try to compare Nelly's game, I know like a lot of people would say Scotty, but I like the comparison of Brooks Koepka to Nelly's game. And obviously Koepka won on this course. Now it was in a lot more ideal conditions, but I think that only helps Nelly and her ball striking ability. So I do have a lot of confidence in these two. Like I said, they're not my winner pick, but I think that they have a pretty good chance.
Yeah, I think that I I, I think we could get to the point because of the number one ranking thing that this is like a battle for that,
Yeah.
and they're both of them are super motivated to play well. I know sometimes you can be motivated to play well in golf and it just doesn't go your way because golf's hard, but I could see both of them, battling it out for, the top ranking on Sunday. And I think that would be awesome. I'm not going to count any of them out. I'm not going to count any of the top six out in this tournament. I think
Yeah.
that any of these six players can take home the win here. And
Another one more thing to keep in mind also about Nelly is maybe the best bad weather golfer on the LPGA tour, which is weird because you would think that she's a player that like dominates in ideal conditions with how she strikes the ball. But she's an incredible bad weather golfer. She's openly said that while other players it might get in their head, it makes her focus more on her game. And we've seen her win in some really, really bad conditions before. So if Thursday and Friday are as bad as they look like they could be, I think that could be a major advantage for the number one player in the world.
all right, let's get to predictions here. First, let's do the prediction for the low amateur. Who do you think the low amateur is going to be?
I'm riding with that momentum thing that we always talk about. And I'm gonna be taking Maria Jose Marin, who just won the NCAA Division One individual championship playing for Arkansas. I saw her out there today playing a couple holes. Seems to be in really good spirits. Seems to be really embracing the week, even in the bad weather. I mean, a lot of players dropped out of their practice rounds today, but she was out there playing, and I think that I think she'll get the win this week, or the low amateur honors this week. That is.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I think it's going to be Maria Jose Marin. I mean, she just won the national championship, individual national championship, and is riding that momentum. And I don't know. We could see her run into the whole thing that we've talked about, where college golfers just don't translate as much, but she still has that momentum, and so I'm gonna stick with her. All right, let's move on. Who do you think's gonna win this?
My winner pick. I actually saw it today near the merchandise tent today. I was like really close to her. Was Is actually Heyron Yu. I think Heyron Yu finally does it. I think we've seen signs of her being a little bit more of a stable player on the weekend than we have in the past. She's gotten her name in the mix at a lot of different majors over the last couple seasons. I think she does it again here. She's such a great ball striker. Like I said, I think a player who hits the ball hard is going to do very well this week. We haven't seen her necessarily play in as many difficult conditions and how she performs in those, but I still really, really like her this week. And it would be a big win because obviously one of the biggest moments in LPGA Tour and women's golf history was Sae Pak from South Korea winning this event in Wisconsin in 1998, kind of seen as the moment that created the whole Korean golf boom. And so for another Korean to win this tournament in this state, I think would be a really cool story.
All right, for me, I think it's going to be. Can I say it's going to be one of two players?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say it's either going to be Nelly Korda or Gino Titakun,
Hmm.
with the caveat that I don't think it's going to be either of them.
Right.
But that's my pick because
You
it's a
wouldn't
safe
take them
pick.
against the field, but you'd take them over everybody else. Yeah.
Correct, because I think this is going to be a weird tournament where somebody that is like like a Minji Lee wins or something like that. Like that's what I think is going to end up happening. But I can't, just with the motivation that the both of them have, I can't go against them. But I would probably just like bet the field if I was going
Yeah.
to be doing that. And I will say I'll ask you for this as well. I got a couple of sleepers I think to look out for. I know I'm super high on Rio Takeda, always have been all year. I think she's great. And then Arya Jutanugarn. I
Hmm.
She's had some up and down moments this year, but she's has looked a little bit better. 21st ranked player in the world, is a major champion. So I mean,
Great
I
ball
think
striker. Maybe hits as far as anybody out there.
yeah. So I think she's a player to keep an eye on as well. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna give as my sleepers. Do you have any sleeper picks?
I do. I have two very, very boom or bust players. If these two players both shot 12 over in the first two rounds and missed the cut by 6 strokes, I wouldn't be surprised. But don't be surprised if you see their names up there. One of them, as we talked about, defending champion Yuka Sasso, who has had a very, very rough season. Like she has been not just lower than her expectations, she's been one of the worst players on the tour.
Still, can we call a two-time winner of the tournament and the defending champion a sleeper?
I think with how she's played over the last year, that's a fair title to put on
Okay,
her.
okay, I'll
But
give it to you.
she does, I think, set up very well for this course. I think her shot making ability should set up very well. And I like I like the fit, and I think she plays obviously US Open courses really, really well. She plays USGA setups well. The conditions I think can help her. And then the other one is Austin Kim, who just barely made it into the field, but is a player who I have been raving about for the last year as someone who I think could win at Erin Hills. And I am sticking to that. She hasn't won yet on tour. We know she's like maybe the longest hitter on the LPGA tour. The ball just looks differently when she hits it than any other player. And I think this could be a week where we see her put it all together and have a really, really great week. I'm not saying she's going to win, but if she's up there in the top 10 on Sunday, don't be surprised at all.
I'm super excited for this tournament. Uh, what what's the TV situation for people who aren't aware?
It's pretty good. So over the next 2 days, on Thursday and Friday, it's going to start on USA, I believe at 1 Eastern on USA, and it's going to play there for I think 5 hours before switching over to Peacock for the last couple hours. Believe there's 8 hours of coverage each of the first 2 days. Then there's a lot of NBC coverage over the weekend. I think 5 hours on NBC on Sunday, so you should be able to see the entire final round of the final group. So definitely the best hours we've seen so far this year. There's also going to be some featured group coverage on Peacock. I would just go to Peacock over the next couple days, click in on the golf and see who they have. I believe probably on Friday, Nellie's group will be in that kind of group because her entire round won't be in the TV window. So I would look out if you're looking for watching Nellie. I would look at that on Friday. But those featured group things are really great. I mean, that's where the only place where Nellie's tournament falling apart last year was visible when she had that 10 on the par three. So I would check those out because you can see some really great stuff in there.
All right, and what can people check out on the website this week? Fore-All.com, FORE-ALL.com.
A whole lot of stuff up there. We've got tons of coverage already on the U.S. Women's Open. Going to continue to have more. I mentioned the Sayri Pak win at Black Wolf Run here in Wisconsin. There's going to be an article on Sunday going up on that. Just kind of a history and a recap of that. Then next week we're going to start pumping out some more interviews, and we've completed some interviews, a series of interviews with two-time major champion Sherry Steinhauer, and the that's going to be a series of articles kind of about her journey in golf because it's been a very, very interesting one, and that's going to be going up next week. So plenty to look out for.
Awesome. Well, we will be back next week to recap the U.S. Women's Open. Should be a great tournament. Max, I'm jealous that you were there, and I'm not. But I will be watching, and it will be exciting. And we will talk to you guys next week.